So for my next video, I wanted to do a video on how you should exercise if you have anxiety disorder. Exercise is one of the three key things that I have mentioned in all my videos. You need a good night's rest. You need sufficient sleep, sufficient quality of sleep, exercise, which we're going to talk about today, and you need to eat in a balanced way, whatever diet you choose and whatever one works for you. So to start off this video on exercise, obviously it's very important. It helps with those neurotransmitters. It helps balance things out. It helps get relieve stress. That's been shown study after study. But how do you go about it if you have anxiety disorder? It's going to be a little different than a neurotypical person. The first thing you want to do, things to consider, the first thing you want to do is you need to remember that you need to get clearance from your physician to start any exercise program. That is number one. Make sure you're healthy enough to exercise, and make sure that you know exactly what type of exercise you're healthy enough to do. So get that out of the way. Make sure, get your physical, get checked out. Make sure you're okay to exercise. Then some other things to consider. If you're having severe anxiety or panic, you definitely want to start slow. You definitely want to start slow. You don't want to, all of a sudden start trying to run a mile. You want to start slow, and you want to choose an exercise that you don't think is necessarily going to trigger your anxiety. So, for instance, if you have social anxiety, you're probably not going to be able to start at a gym. Being around people, feeling like people are looking at you, this is probably going to trigger your anxiety to the point where you won't be able to exercise in front of them. So for you, maybe something at home, or perhaps going for a walk around where you live, if that's plausible given where you live, that would be a good place to start off. If you want to do weights or something like that, do it in your home where there's less pressure, where you don't feel like people are watching you, things that won't trigger your specific type of anxiety. And that's another huge part of this. Know your triggers. In order to do an exercise that's effective, that's going to be effective, and that you're going to be able to manage with your anxiety, you need to know what things will trigger you. So you want to start off slow. You want to be moderate in the way that you train. If you're doing cardio, I suggest that you just slowly build up. Slowly build up. Again, the first day, do 5 or 10 minutes, whatever, 1 minute. If you get through a minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes without triggering a panic attack, that's an accomplishment. That means that you've proven to yourself that you can go that long without having a panic attack, without triggering your anxiety, and you were able to get some benefit, even though it was only maybe just a little. You're able to get some benefit from the exercise. It's really important that you don't want to lose progress you've made because one day maybe you're not up to it. We really need to be able to compartmentalize if we have anxiety and panic disorder and we want to exercise. You need to do the same thing with dieting, but that'll be another video. You need to learn to separate if you have a bad day. Because if you're having panic attacks, I can almost guarantee you at some point, whether it's on a walk or whether you're in a gym, you're going to walk out of there really fast because you feel like you're starting to have a panic attack. It's happened to me many times. You want to, if you can, you want to try to avoid fleeing in the first place. You don't want to reinforce that unfounded fear. So even if you have to stop, it's okay. It's okay if you can't finish your workout, that's fine. You're not a failure. There's no permanent setback there. It's one day. But don't flee, don't reinforce it. Just slowly make your way, get your breathing under control, and slowly make your way out of the gym or off your walk. If you start feeling like, maybe that your heart's racing a little too fast, or stop, slow down, and get your breathing under control, and live to fight another day. Compartmentalize that. Don't say, oh, there it is, I can't do it. Instead, tell yourself, it's one day, this is one workout. In the case of when it comes to dieting, it's going to be one meal, it's going to be one day. You don't want to lose this battle because, you have one bad day. Because with anxiety, with panic disorder, with health anxiety, with social anxiety, you're going to have bad days. I'll spare you the suspense right now. It's going to happen, whether you're on medication or you're doing, all these different relaxation techniques. My experience over the last 21 years has been you're going to have bad days. Sometimes they'll have triggers, sometimes they won't, but you need to learn to let a bad day be a bad day. Super important, especially when it comes to exercising with anxiety disorder. Try to be consistent. Even if it's 2 days a week, consistency is good. Start to learn routines. We usually thrive on consistency most of the time because, again, it's an element of control, which is what a lot of us with these anxiety conditions desire. We tend to be a little bit of control freaks. And know your triggers. So if you know your triggers, then you'll know not to overdo your exercise. So for me, I can tell you with the health anxiety I had, the first few years that I was, before I was officially diagnosed, but when I had panic attacks, I put on a bunch of weight. I was very heavy, and it was a real struggle to try to exercise. As soon as my heart rate got going up, I thought, I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to have a heart attack. If I started to walk too far of a distance from my house, I would feel like, well, how about if I can't get back? How about if I have a heart attack and no one's here and I just die alone, Silly things that make no sense in the grand scheme of things, but when you're having panic attacks, when you have anxiety disorder, they're real things when it comes to exercising. My whole life, I've always liked to lift heavy weights. Well, before I was under control with medication, I couldn't lift heavy weights because I would feel like, a blood vessel's gonna burst, all these things that go through your mind. And if you are exercising and you start to have a panic attack, that's a really uncomfortable place to be. And that's why I'm telling you guys to be moderate when you start out. Work your way up. Find out what you're capable of, because you don't want to have a panic attack while your heart rate's elevated. It really is not a fun feeling. I can tell you that from personal experience. You're convinced you're going to have a heart attack. You go fleeing to find the safe place that we're all looking for if we have these mental health conditions. There is no safe place. The safe place is right in that body that you have, and you just have to tell your mind that and learn that again. So you want to make sure that you're moderate in the way that you do these exercise routines. You don't want to, whether it's with weights, whether it's cycling, it doesn't matter what your exercise is. Whatever exercise you can do that'll get your heart rate up you want to shoot for at least get it up 3 times a week, 30 minutes, whatever you can, 3 times a week for 30 minutes will really help with your mental health. If you can do more, it'll be even better. But we have lives that we live, and we have limitations that could be due to age, can be due to our current physical health, whatever it is. So shoot for at least 3 times a week, 30 minutes at least each time, and work your way up to it. Don't overdo it. And, if you do overdo it one day, then learn from it and, remind yourself the next time you're there, okay, this feels good, but sometimes just because some feels good, more won't be better. Once you're really, have your anxiety conditions under control well, exercise it goes right back to being that same amazing thing that it is for neurotypical people where, you can push yourself within the confines of your health. Again, talk to your doctor, but you can push yourself. You can really get a tremendous endorphin release. You can really, and also what I've noticed is after I exercise, I'm able to relax better. That's one of the big things that I've noticed with exercise. If I push myself, do a good workout, good hard workout, afterwards, about a half hour afterwards, I feel like I can relax, breathe a little deeper. And then sure enough, another half hour later, I have energy and I'm ready to go for the rest of the day. So that's pretty much what I'm going to cover here. So be moderate, start off slow, be moderate, know your triggers, and be able to allow yourself to have a bad day or a day that you weren't able to do it. You walked out of the gym because you were scared you're going to have a panic attack, or you stopped your walk or your jog early because of the same thing. But let that day be that day. It's so important. It's so important not to allow one day, one workout, one small sliver of time to all of a sudden reinforce to us that, we're never going to be able to do this. This is something that people who aren't crazy can do, and I'm crazy, so I can't do it. Don't do that. Don't do that because, first of all, it's not true. And secondly, it's only going to set you back. It's going to slow your progress. So that's pretty much what I wanted to mention. As far as types of exercise, I've always been a big weights guy, but I've also, I enjoy sports. Whatever you enjoy, whatever you can do, you enjoy that isn't going to be a huge trigger for your panic. Those are the things you want to do. And you'll find that if you can get into a regular routine, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, 30 minutes or so, you'll start to feel better. It's not a magic pill. And, if I had the magic pill, I'd give it to you guys. I'd take it myself. But it definitely, along with other treatment, with getting to your mental health professional, with getting enough sleep, with eating a balanced diet, it's one factor, one component that's extremely helpful when it comes to getting a hold of our mental health. So that's why I decided to do the video. It's been such a big part of my recovery. I was always extremely active when I was younger, and I got away from that when I was first having these symptoms, and getting back to that has really helped. I'll just leave you with this. One of the really good mental health professionals that I've seen over the years, he said to me, one of the first things he asked when I'd see him is he'd say, are you exercising? And he said to me, he goes, he says, exercise, that is your therapy, Carl. So that's what we need to do. We need exercise. It's going to help. It's going to help us to have the appropriate amount of energy. It's going to reduce our stress. It's going to be a battle, and we're going to have good days and bad days. And you just can't throw yourself, cut yourself down when something gets in the way of it, or when you have issues with your anxiety that keep you from being able to finish a workout. Push through, but be smart. Again, getting over these conditions, it's a balance. It takes a balanced approach. And that was really hard for me because I do tend to run really hot and really cold. So learning to be moderate can take time, but trust me, it works. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. I just wanted to do a short video about how important exercise is as far as the road to recovery from anxiety, and some tips so that you don't find yourself starting an exercise routine and failing. You don't ever want to be in that situation. And you certainly don't want to trigger panic attacks. So you do have to be smart. Talk to your doctor, talk to your mental health professional, know yourself, know your triggers. And so that'll conclude my video. Again, I just want to thank everybody. Like, share, subscribe. It's been a really fun couple of weeks here, getting your comments and getting the feedback I've gotten. I'll continue to make these videos, and because I really believe there's a lot of people out there who can benefit from knowing, from a personal perspective, what it's like to get through life when you have anxiety disorder. Thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, take care.